Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're cracking the code on a question that crosses almost everyone's mind at some point, right? Can an average earner, someone pulling in a totally normal salary, actually build massive, life-changing wealth? Is that really possible, or is the Millionaire Club strictly VIP?
So let's just address the elephant in the room. Is it hard to become a millionaire in India? Well, the honest answer is yes and no. Yes, because it absolutely requires discipline and patience, but no, because you don't actually need to work yourself into the ground or invent the next big tech startup. What you really need is a dedicated system. And once you get that system locked in, hitting that millionaire milestone becomes entirely possible over time without draining every ounce of your energy.
Now, what's really interesting about this case is a fascinating story that author David Bach presents. Let me introduce you to an American couple, Jim and Sue McKnight. Just look at the incredible paradox of their finances. Their combined annual income was incredibly modest. We're talking well below the average. Yet their net worth topped what would be over 15 crore rupees. I mean, how does a couple earning so little end up with so much?
Well, there was absolutely zero magic involved. They didn't hit the jackpot or fall for any get-rich-quick schemes. Their secret was actually really simple and honestly boringly effective. From the literal day they got married, they built a disciplined, automated savings system. They started out by saving just 4% of their income. That's it. As their income grew over the years, and through the incredible power of compound interest, they eventually bumped that investment rate up to 15%. They lived simply, steered clear of debt, and just let time do the heavy lifting for them.
Okay, let's dive into this. David Bach lays out an exact 5-step blueprint for automating your wealth. We're going to cover 1. The magic latte factor. 2. Pay yourself first automatically. 3. Build an emergency shield. 4. The rent versus buy dilemma. And 5. Debt-free living and giving.
All right, starting with Section 1, the magic latte factor. Subtitle, Getting Rich Slowly.
So, the foundation of all this is recognizing how totally innocent daily expenses quietly drain our wallets. Just think about this number for a second. 200 rupees a day. That's roughly the cost of a daily fancy coffee, or, a pack of cigarettes for some. It feels like absolute peanuts in the moment, doesn't it? But I want you to imagine the mathematical power of saving just 200 rupees every single day. Over a year, that adds up to over 73,000 rupees. Now, it might sound a bit extreme to track every single cup of coffee, but let's see what happens when we put these small numbers to work over the long haul.
And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute magic of compounding. Let's say you invest that 5,000 rupees a month for 30 years at a really conservative 10% return. Your total out-of-pocket investment comes to 54 lakh rupees. But the total value? Boom, 1.42 crores. And here is the real kicker. If you invest in mutual funds or stocks that historically yield 15 to 20%, that same small monthly habit could literally explode into 10 to 15 crores. You don't need a massive salary, guys. You just need time and consistency.
Moving right along to Section 2, Pay Yourself First Automatically. Subtitle, Bypassing Procrastination.
Knowing we should save is one thing, but actually remembering to do it, that's where almost everyone drops the ball. The absolute crucial point here is to remove human error completely. Look at this simple 3-step flow. Step 1, your salary hits your account. Step 2 is the real game changer. Before you pay your rent, before you buy groceries, money is auto-deducted directly into your investments, like mutual fund SIPs. You are literally paying yourself first. Then, step 3, you pay your bills with whatever is left over. Look, if you try to do this manually, you might stick to it for a few months, sure, but eventually life gets in the way. You'll procrastinate, miss a month, and totally lose out on those massive compounding benefits. Automating this whole shebang takes less than 10 minutes to set up, and it secures your future without you even having to think about it.
Now for Section 3, Build an Emergency Shield. Subtitle, Preparing for the Worst.
Now, everything we've talked about so far kind of assumes you have a steady, reliable income. But life can be unpredictable and sometimes incredibly tough. So I want to ask you a very direct question. How would you survive if you lost your job tomorrow? Or what if your business suddenly faced a major crisis and you had zero income for the next 12 months? I know, it's a terrifying thought, but it's also a highly realistic one. This is exactly why building a financial shield is non-negotiable, especially if you happen to be the single earner in your household.
According to the source, a true emergency fund means saving exactly 12 months of your average living expenses. And this is important. This money shouldn't just be sitting idle under a mattress or mixed up in your daily spending account. You need to keep it in a completely separate bank account.
The trick is to shop around a bit for banks offering higher interest rates on their savings accounts. You want to aim for that 3 to 6% range. This way, your money is super easy to access for true emergencies, but it's still growing and fighting off inflation in the background.
Which brings us to Section 4, the rent versus buy dilemma. Subtitle, the real estate equation.
For a lot of us, owning a home is the ultimate dream. But man, the thought of a 20-year EMI? That can cause some serious financial anxiety. Yet, when you compare renting versus buying over a 10-year stretch, it builds a really strong case for owning property. When you rent, 100% of your hard-earned money goes straight into the owner's pocket. You build absolutely zero equity. But when you buy, even though you're paying EMIs, every single payment chips away at your loan and increases your actual ownership stake in that property. The source leans heavily towards buying because, honestly, beyond just the math, it provides unmatched long-term stability, peace of mind, and a significant chunk of financial equity by the time you reach retirement. Let's be real, you really don't want to be forced to pay rent when you're in your 70s.
But how do you actually afford it without drowning in high-interest debt right out of the gate? The text outlines two highly practical paths for this. Path 1, rent a much cheaper place right now and aggressively invest the difference, like whatever you would have paid in a high EMI, straight into mutual funds. Because mutual funds usually grow much faster than real estate interest rates, you'll eventually build up a massive down payment, which heavily reduces the loan amount you ultimately need. Path 2, if you already have some solid savings built up, say 25 to 30 lakhs, use that for a down payment immediately to lock in a home at a much lower interest rate. Both of these strategies keep you from over-leveraging yourself early on.
And finally, Section 5, Debt-Free Living and Giving. Subtitle, The Final Steps to Freedom.
Because building wealth, it isn't just about hoarding a giant pile of cash. It's also about dodging deep financial traps and finding real purpose in your success. So here are the final rules for protecting that wealth you're building. First, eliminate credit card loans as fast as humanly possible. High-interest consumer debt is literally the fastest way to wreck your compounding efforts. Second, practice conscious spending. Actually, make it a rule to always consult your family before taking on any major new loans. And third, donate a small percentage of your income. We're talking just 0.25 to 0.5% back to society. So the crucial point here is this. Living debt-free removes your financial anxiety for sure, but giving back, that's what gives you the mental peace and deep fulfillment that makes being wealthy actually worth it. So, it all boils down to one final, really provocative question for you. Are you working for your money, or is your money automatically working for you? The true beauty of this whole automatic millionaire system is that once you set up your automated SIPs, secure your emergency fund, and figure out your housing goals, it requires zero active daily effort. You just go out and live your life while your money quietly builds your empire in the background. Seriously, it is time to set up your system. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this gave you a clear, actionable blueprint to start building your wealth today.